On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 seemed like any other routine red-eye flight. The Boeing 777-200ER, carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew members, was scheduled to depart from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. local time. Its destination was Beijing Capital International Airport with an estimated flight time of just over 6 hours. The weather was clear and the experienced flight crew had logged thousands of hours in the air.
I was the captain, a 53-year-old veteran pilot with over 18,000 flight hours.
His co-pilot, 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid, though less experienced, was familiar with the route.
The passengers, a diverse group from 14 different countries, settled into their seats for what they expected to be an uneventful journey.
Little did they know that this ordinary flight was about to become one of the greatest aviation mysteries of the 21st century. As the plane taxied down the runway and lifted off into the night sky, there was no indication of any problem. The aircraft climbed to its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, following a standard flight path over the South China Sea. Air traffic controllers in Kuala Lumpur monitored the flight's progress, exchanging routine communications with the cockpit. Everything seemed normal, just another red-eye flight ferrying passengers to their destinations. But beneath the surface of this ordinary flight, an extraordinary series of events was about to unfold. In the coming hours, MH370 would defy expectations, baffle experts, and launch a search effort unprecedented in scale and complexity. The disappearance of this aircraft would not only challenge our understanding of modern aviation technology, but also test the limits of international cooperation and human resilience in the face of tragedy. At 1:19 a.m., less than an hour into the flight, Captain Shah made his final verbal communication with air traffic control.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
This routine sign-off as the plane prepared to enter Vietnamese airspace would soon become the subject of intense scrutiny. It was the last time anyone on the ground would hear from the cockpit of MH370. Just 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder stopped transmitting. This crucial piece of equipment, which broadcast the aircraft's position, altitude, and speed, went silent. Suddenly, MH370 became invisible to conventional radar systems. Air traffic controllers in Vietnam, expecting to make contact with the flight, received nothing but silence. The plane had vanished from their screens, seemingly into thin air.
As the minutes ticked by, confusion turned to concern. Controllers in Vietnam contacted their counterparts in Kuala Lumpur, seeking information about the missing flight. Neither side could explain the aircraft's sudden disappearance.
Emergency protocols were activated and a frantic search for information began. Airlines, air traffic control centers, and military radar facilities across Southeast Asia were alerted to the situation. What happened in those crucial moments after 1:21 a.m. remains one of the central mysteries of the MH370 disappearance. Did the plane experience a catastrophic failure? Was there a hijacking or other security breach, or did something else entirely occur? These questions would fuel years of investigation, speculation, and heartache. The sudden vanishing act of MH370 marked the beginning of a mystery that would captivate the world and challenge our assumptions about modern aviation safety. As dawn broke on March 8th, the full scale of the situation became apparent. A commercial airliner with 239 souls on board had disappeared without a trace. The initial search focused on the South China Sea, where the plane was last known to be. Vietnam, Malaysia, and China quickly mobilized their navies and air forces to scour the area. But as hours turned into days with no sign of the aircraft, the search zone expanded dramatically. In an unprecedented show of international cooperation, 26 countries eventually joined the search effort. Naval vessels, military aircraft, and civilian ships combed vast stretches of ocean. Satellite imagery was analyzed, and even crowdsourcing efforts were launched to pore over thousands of square miles of ocean surface images.
The search area shifted dramatically when analysis of radar and satellite data suggested the plane had made a sharp turn westward after losing contact. The focus of the search soon shifted to the southern Indian Ocean, thousands of miles from the plane's intended flight path. This remote region, known for its treacherous waters and extreme depths, posed immense challenges for search teams. Sophisticated underwater vehicles were deployed to scan the ocean floor, mapping previously uncharted territories in the process.
The search became not just a race against time to find possible survivors, but also a monumental task of exploring one of Earth's least known environments. As weeks turned into months, the search for MH370 became the most expensive in aviation history, costing hundreds of millions of dollars. Despite the enormous resources and cutting-edge technology deployed, the main body of the aircraft remained elusive.
The global search effort, while unsuccessful in its primary goal, demonstrated the world's capacity for cooperation in the face of tragedy. It also highlighted the vast unknowns that still exist in our oceans and the limitations of our technology when faced with the immensity of the sea. While the world watched the search unfold, the families of the 239 people aboard MH370 were plunged into a nightmare of uncertainty. In the initial days, hope mingled with fear as relatives gathered in Beijing and Kuala Lumpur, desperately seeking information. They clung to the possibility that their loved ones might be found alive, perhaps on a remote island or adrift at sea. But as days turned into weeks without concrete answers, hope began to fade, replaced by a gnawing, unresolvable grief.
The emotional roller coaster experienced by the families was intense and prolonged. Every potential lead, every piece of possible debris, every new theory brought a fresh wave of anxiety and anticipation. Press conferences became a source of both dread and desperate hope. We scrutinized the faces of officials, hanging on every word, seeking any clue that might shed light on the fate of our loved ones.
The lack of closure made the grieving process particularly challenging, leaving families suspended in a state of ambiguous loss. As months passed without resolution, frustration and anger began to mount. Some family members accused the Malaysian government and Malaysia Airlines of mishandling the investigation and withholding information. Protests were held, demanding more transparency and a continued commitment to the search. The tragedy exposed cultural differences in grieving and expectations of authority, adding another layer of complexity to an already fraught situation. The disappearance of MH370 not only affected the immediate families, but also sent ripples through extended networks of friends, colleagues, and communities. Support groups formed both in person and online as those affected sought solace in shared experience. Mental health professionals warned of the long-term psychological impacts of such unresolved grief. The families of those on board MH370 found themselves unwilling members of a tragic fraternity, united by a loss that defied explanation and closure. After more than a year of fruitless searching, the first physical evidence of MH370's fate emerged. On July 29, 2015, a piece of debris was discovered on Reunion Island, a French territory in the Western Indian Ocean.
Experts quickly identified it as a flaperon, a part of an aircraft's wing, and subsequent analysis confirmed it belonged to MH370. This discovery, while providing the first tangible proof of the plane's crash, also deepened the mystery. How had the debris traveled thousands of miles from the suspected crash site?
The flaperon's discovery sparked renewed hope and intensified efforts to locate more debris. In the months and years that followed, more pieces washed up on the shores of various Indian Ocean islands and the east coast of Africa. Each new find was meticulously examined, with some confirmed as definitely or highly likely to be from MH370. These included parts of the wing, interior cabin items, and even personal effects of passengers.
Oceanographers and debris experts used these discoveries to refine their models of Indian Ocean currents, attempting to backtrack the debris to its origin. Their analysis supported the theory that the plane had indeed gone down in the southern Indian Ocean, broadly consistent with the area identified by satellite data analysis. However, the precise location of the main wreckage remained elusive, with the search area still covering tens of thousands of square kilometers.
While the debris discoveries provided some answers, they also raised new questions. The condition of some pieces suggested the plane may have broken up on impact with the ocean, rather than during a controlled ditching. This conflicted with some theories about the plane's final moments. Each piece of debris became a clue in a vast, complex puzzle, offering tantalizing hints but no definitive answers about what really happened to MH370. The scattered remnants served as poignant reminders of the human cost of the tragedy, each piece representing a story abruptly cut short. In the absence of conclusive evidence, theories about MH370's fate proliferated. Some were grounded in careful analysis of available data, while others veered into the realm of conspiracy and speculation. Aviation experts, investigators, and armchair detectives all contributed to a growing body of hypotheses, each attempting to explain the inexplicable disappearance of a modern airliner.
One prevalent theory suggested a deliberate act by one of the pilots. Proponents pointed to the plane's unexpected turn and the disabling of communication systems as evidence of intentional action. They speculated about possible motives, from personal issues to political statements. However, investigations into the pilots' backgrounds revealed no clear red flags, and many colleagues and family members vehemently rejected these theories.
Other theories focused on mechanical failure or on-board fire. Some experts proposed scenarios where a sudden depressurization or electrical fire could have incapacitated the crew, leaving the plane to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. These theories attempted to explain the lack of communication and the long flight south into the Indian Ocean. However, critics argued that such scenarios didn't fully account for all the known facts, particularly the deliberate changes in course.
More outlandish theories also gained traction, particularly on the internet. These ranged from hijacking by unknown parties to extraterrestrial intervention. While easily dismissed by serious investigators, these theories spoke to the public's struggle to accept that a modern airliner could simply vanish.
The proliferation of theories highlighted the human need for explanation and closure, even in the face of limited evidence. As the years passed, the mystery of MH370 became a Rorschach test, with different observers seeing what they wanted or expected to see in the scant available data. Section 7. Technological advancements in the search. The search for MH370 pushed the boundaries of existing technology and spurred the development of new tools and techniques. As traditional search methods proved inadequate, investigators turned to cutting-edge solutions.
Satellite data analysis played a crucial role, with experts using innovative methods to extract information from limited signals. The handshakes between the plane and Inmarsat satellites became key to understanding the aircraft's likely path, leading to groundbreaking work in flight path reconstruction.
Underwater search technology saw significant advancements. Autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, were deployed to scan the ocean floor at depths of up to 6,000 meters. These robots, equipped with side-scan sonar and high-resolution cameras, mapped vast stretches of previously uncharted seabed.
The data collected not only aided the search, but also contributed to oceanographic knowledge, revealing underwater volcanoes, canyons, and other geological features.
The scale of the search area necessitated innovations in data processing and analysis. Machine learning algorithms were developed to sift through satellite imagery, identifying potential debris fields. Crowdsourcing platforms allowed thousands of volunteers to examine satellite photos, demonstrating the potential of citizen science in large-scale search operations.
These efforts, while ultimately unsuccessful in locating the main wreckage, showcased the power of collaborative, technology-driven approaches to complex problems.
The search also highlighted the need for improved aircraft tracking systems. In response to MH370, the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, accelerated efforts to implement global flight tracking standards. New regulations were introduced requiring more frequent position reporting for aircraft in oceanic areas.
The tragedy catalyzed the development and adoption of technologies like space-based ADS-B, promising near real-time tracking of aircraft anywhere on the globe. While these advancements came too late for MH370, they promised to make future aircraft disappearances much less likely.
Section 8. The enduring mystery and its impact. As years passed without definitive answers, the disappearance of MH370 transitioned from a current event to an enduring mystery. The official search was suspended in January 2017 after covering an area of 120,000 square kilometers.
While subsequent efforts, including a 90-day search by a private company in 2018, continued, the main wreckage remained elusive. The lack of closure left a lasting impact on the aviation industry, the families of those lost, and the public consciousness.
The mystery of MH370 challenged our assumptions about modern technology and aviation safety. In an age of GPS, satellite communications, and constant connectivity, the idea that a commercial airliner could vanish without a trace seemed inconceivable, yet MH370 exposed vulnerabilities in our systems and highlighted the vast, unmonitored expanses of our oceans.
It served as a humbling reminder of the limits of human knowledge and control, even in the 21st century. For the families of those on board, the unresolved nature of the disappearance made moving forward incredibly difficult. Many struggled with the lack of closure, unable to fully grieve without knowing the fate of their loved ones.
Support groups and advocacy organizations formed, keeping the memory of MH370 alive and pushing for the search to continue. The tragedy became a rallying point for improved communication between airlines, governments, and families in times of crisis.
The disappearance of MH370 also had a profound effect on public perception of air travel. While statistically flying remains one of the safest forms of transportation, the mystery surrounding the flight added a new dimension of anxiety for some travelers.
Airlines and regulatory bodies worked to reassure the public, implementing new safety measures and communication protocols. The incident serves as a constant reminder in the aviation industry of the importance of vigilance, transparency, and continuous improvement in safety practices. Section 9, Aviation Safety in the wake of MH370. The disappearance of MH370 prompted a comprehensive review of aviation safety protocols worldwide. Industry leaders, regulatory bodies, and governments collaborated to address the vulnerabilities exposed by the incident.
One of the most significant changes was the push for improved aircraft tracking. The International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, introduced new standards requiring aircraft to report their position every 15 minutes when over ocean areas, a substantial improvement over previous requirements.
Beyond tracking, there was a renewed focus on black box technology. The limited battery life of underwater locator beacons became a point of concern, leading to proposals for extended battery life and even ejectable black boxes that would float on the water's surface.
Some airlines began implementing real-time data streaming from aircraft, allowing for continuous monitoring of critical systems and immediate alerting in case of anomalies.
Communication protocols also underwent scrutiny. The ease with which MH370's communication systems were disabled raised alarms. Discussions began on implementing tamper-proof systems or redundant communication channels that couldn't be turned off from within the cockpit.
These conversations balanced safety concerns with practical considerations and pilot autonomy, leading to nuanced debates within the aviation community.
Crew training and mental health screening received increased attention in the wake of MH370. While no evidence conclusively pointed to pilot action in the disappearance, the possibility prompted a re-evaluation of pilot psychological assessment and support systems.
Many airlines enhanced their mental health programs and peer support networks for crew members. The incident also led to discussions about cockpit door policies and the balance between security and safety in various emergency scenarios.
Section 10, the quest for closure continues. As we approach the 10th anniversary of MH370's disappearance, the quest for answers continues. While the official search has long been